Our next step is to draw in our interior walls in this project. And what we're looking at here are our exterior walls up here on the first floor. We're going to start off by drawing in a wall that's going to come up here. There's going to be a little bit of a gap, and that gap is going to be a doorway that's going to be leading into the kitchen. And then there's going to be sort of an L shape that comes in here that's going to define the kitchen from the dining room. Also, some other walls we're going to be drawing in are going to be putting in a pantry right here. We'll have a closet for our bedroom, which is going to be down here. And then also there'll be a master bathroom right in this location. And you'll also see this little L-shaped looking thing that'll show up here. And that's just an open area that's going to be for our plumbing, our mechanical systems, that sort of thing, to be able to come up from the basement and then go out to the different parts of our house for the heating and cooling and plumbing throughout the structure. Let's begin by drawing our walls in. I'm going to come up here to the wall tool, which is on the ribbon, and we need to pick the appropriate wall. In this case, the interior wall 4.5 inch is by far the most common wall, so that's going to be the wall that I'm going to use. Next, I'm going to zoom in here, and I'm going to make sure that all of our base settings are correct before I even start drawing the wall in. This wall has first floors being the base constraint. That's the bottom of the wall, and that's fine. The only thing is, though, is it shouldn't have an offset associated with it. We don't want the wall floating 8 feet in the air. So I'm going to set that to be 0 feet 0 inches. So that's going to be on the first floor level. We also need to take a look at the top constraint. How high do we want the wall to go up to? In this case, I don't really want it to have an unconnected height. I want it to come up to the top of plate, which is just listed as being top here. So we're just going to select on top. Don't need an offset height for that. That's just going to go up to that level. And we're going to start by drawing our wall from the intersection of these two walls. One thing to take a look at first is make sure that your location line is this finished face. In this case, I'm going to do exterior. Usually when I'm doing these drawings, I usually try to do things like the core face exterior, but I find that sometimes, and in this case in particular, it doesn't always like to snap to the intersection of where two walls are coming together at. So in order to be able to make this work, we need to use the finished face of the exterior in order to bring this wall straight on up, because you can see how it does in fact connect to this intersection. So I'm going to click on the intersection, start to come up, and this wall needs to go up 15 feet 9 inches. Next, we need to be able to have a gap in here for that doorway. Now, if I continue this wall on up, we might be able to delete it, or the way Revit works is if you have two walls that are very similar or exactly the same sitting right next to it, sometimes it'll just make it all one piece of wall. So that isn't going to work very well for us. The other thing that Revit is known for doing is sometimes you can just start drawing, and you can see as I move up how there's these things called temporary dimensions which are showing up here. The problem is that I don't exactly know where that temporary dimension is going to, and it doesn't always show up if I'm not in the exact right location. So by just clicking again to draw my next wall, it's not very efficient. So one of the things that I like to use are these things called detail lines, which I'll sometimes call as reference lines. And by just drawing from here to here, I can then copy it up. So I'm going to select on the line and then use the copy command. And I'm going to copy this up 5 foot. And now this is going to be where I start my next wall at. Of course, I don't exactly know where it's going to be lining up with this wall, so we need to be able to draw that in as well so we know where it's going to line up. I'm going to zoom in here and I'm going to pick this point on the wall. This is the core face of this wall. I'm going to zoom out, and then I'm going to come straight up. I'm going to select at this point, and I know where this line and this line intersect. That's where the next wall needs to start at. I'll come back to the Home tab, select on Wall. I no longer need the finished face of exterior. I only use that because it was the only one that worked down here. I'm going to use the core face of the exterior in this case. I'm going to zoom in, I'm going to pick that intersection. Now this wall is flipped from the other wall, so I'm going to hit the space bar in order to flip it over to the correct side. Now I'm going to go straight up and type in 2 foot 9.5 inches. You can either put the inch sign or not, it'll still draw it just the same. I'll move over to the left now, 12 feet 7 inches. We now have our wall that's going to be on the back side of the kitchen. This is going to wrap around some cabinetry here in the kitchen. And we're going to have more appliances going along this wall. So we're halfway to actually having our kitchen drawn up. Next, I need to figure out where that kitchen wall is going to be located at. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw yet another annotation line, or a detail line as it's called. And I'm going to draw it from here, and I'm going to draw it straight down. It's going to be 10 foot, 6 inches down. You can see in this case, I moved my mouse a little bit and it went to the side. It's not what I want to do. So I'm going to come back up here to annotate, detail line, and make sure that you're always drawing straight down. It's one of the most common errors people make, is that they'll look down and not notice that their mouse did that. So I'm going to make this go 10 foot 6 inches straight down. Next, I'm going to move this line over like this, select on that line, and just sort of pull this line over so it goes straight across. This is going to be the inside face of our kitchen wall. Now from here, I'm going to draw in our kitchen wall from here on over. So I'm going to come up here to the Home tab, select on wall, and I'm going to pick either one of these interior walls. In this case, this interior wall 4.5 will work just fine for what I'm trying to accomplish. I'm going to start at this side. I'm going to click. I'm going to move over in this direction. Zoom out a little bit. It's the proper length. And I'm just going to move it over here and click. Now we have a wall here, and this is going to be the back side of our kitchen. Now I need to start to draw in some of the walls that are going to be making up our pantry, as well as our closet and our bathroom area. I'll come up to the Annotate tab. I'm going to select on Detail Line again. And I'm going to draw a line from right here on down. And this is going to need to be 1 foot, 1.5 inches in length. The reason why I'm drawing this line is that ultimately the wall that the bathtub is going to be against is going to be flush with this line right here. Now that I've done this, I'm going to select on this line, and I know that the next wall is going to need to be 5 foot down from this point. So after I've selected on that, I'm going to select on the copy command, come straight down, type in 5 feet, and there I have that line for where my next wall is going to be located at. Now that I know that, I can select on my wall tool. This interior wall 4.5 is still fine for this particular wall. So I'll select on that intersection right there and move straight on over. Now this is the area where our bedroom is going to be at, and it's fully framed in. Now I'm going to concentrate a little bit more on that pantry area. Pantry area needs to be 4 foot 4 inches from left to right. So I'm going to select on Detail Line here. So from here on over, it's going to be 4 foot 4 inches. And I know that my pantry wall is going to be somewhere along here. But this pantry wall, it's going to die into the back of the closet. So I need to find out where that closet wall is going to be at. To do that, I'm going to draw a line from here on up. And I know that my closet usually needs to be about 2 feet deep. So I'm going to make this be 2 feet 1 inches. This 1 inch compensates for the fact that there's thickness to this material here, the gypboard material that makes up the outside of our walls, on either side of the closet. I'm going to draw this line over, and this gives us a nice reference line for where that closet wall should be at. And I'll come up, select on wall again. That still works fine for me, the 4.5 inches. We'll move over, hit the space bar to flip it to the other side. And I'll come straight over. Once it's lined up with this line up here, that's where I need it to be at, so that's good. I'll also draw in another wall that comes from here straight on down. The only thing is, though, is that this wall is going to be a little bit different. This doesn't need to be the 4.5 inch wall. This just needs to be the interior wall 4 inches. The difference between that and the 4.5 inch wall is the 4.5 inch wall has 2 layers of material. One layer of material here, another layer of material here. It's the gypboard on the outside of the stud wall. This 4 inch wall only has it on one side. And that's the side that's going to be facing into our living area. This section on the other side of this wall is going to be in a space that no one's ever going to be able to see, and frankly, you don't need to have that material there if you're never going to be able to see it. Now that I've done that, I know that this closet is actually 5'10" going all the way across, not the 4'4". So I need to do this annotate line again, the detail line. Pick in here, come across, and I need to type in 5'10" as being my next dimension. I'll come straight up. Now I know that I need to draw a wall from here to here, as well as from here on down in order to be able to finish off our closet. So in order to be able to do that, I'm going to come up here to the Home tab, and I'm going to once again pick on the Wall tool. And this time, I'm going to once again use this interior wall 4-inch for this short little span going from here to here. And remember, you can always hit the space bar in order to flip the wall. Next, I'm going to hit the Escape key once, and I'm going to change this to be the interior wall 4.5. I'm going to pick the intersection here, go straight down. I'll hit the little space bar to flip it to the other side. You can see how this automatically cleans up. But the nice thing is I now have my closet for my bedroom area down here below. I also have my pantry already complete up here. Now we're getting pretty close, but we need to make a few more changes. Next thing I need to do is finish off my bathroom area over here. In particular, the area where the bathtub is going to be at. So in order to be able to do that, I need to pick another wall. This is going to be interior wall 4-inch. I'm going to click right here. I can see that that's not quite the right space, and if I end up hitting the space bar, it's not going to flip it to the other side. It's a fairly easy mistake to make, so I'm just going to hit the Escape key right there, and I'll start that part over. Next, I'm going to be drawing this wall straight on up, so I'm just going to zoom in here. I'm going to click right here at the intersection. You can see that I can't hit this point right here, so I need to change this to be the finished face of the exterior. I'll come straight up. I'll hit the space bar to flip that over to the other side. And I'm going to come straight up to this point. Next, I know that I need to come over. I'm not sure exactly how far over as of just yet, so I'm just going to draw a little wall that comes over, and I'll finish that up in a second. Now I know that there's going to be another wall that's going to be 8'4" from here on over. So I'm going to once again use those annotate and the detail line. I'm going to select the point right there. I'm going to draw a wall or a line that's going to be 8'4" over. Come straight down. I'm going to click on this wall. I'm going to drag it over. And next, I'm going to draw in another wall to sort of finish this off. 4 inches is just fine with me. I'm going to click on this point, come straight up. Now, the only thing that I dislike about this is that this wall should really be right here, and there's really nothing I could have done about it at that point. So I'm going to use the Move command in order to finish that off and move that over to the right location. In fact, that needs to move over just a little bit farther. So I'll go ahead and do that. There we go. Now that that's all lined up, we now have that L shape that I was describing. There's your bathroom area in here. We have the appropriate finish materials. Now there's one last thing that we need to accomplish after deleting these lines that we no longer need. And that is to be able to get each of these walls to be the right thickness. Because as of right now, really only one of them is appropriately constructed, really. The reason is that this wall is appropriate because there's no plumbing going through it and it has a material on each side. But this one needs to be built just like these walls. So in order to be able to accomplish that, I need to select on that wall and use the Split tool. Technically, it's called Split Element. And if I click here, and I click here, I now have a wall that's here, a wall that's here, and a wall that's here. If I select on this wall, I can now change it to be interior wall 4-inch, just like these were. And if I select on this wall right here, this wall is ultimately going to be a plumbing wall. We're going to have a sink sitting right here, and it needs to have the pipe going through it. So it needs to be a thicker wall in order for the pipe to fit inside of it. So this is going to be an interior wall 6.5-inch right here in order to be able to put that pipe through and have it actually fit and work out. Now we need to be able to move on and create our interior walls down in our basement.